Demarcus Boogie Cousins was on his way to being considered one of the best centers in the league, but injuries destroyed his prime years in the NBA. Cousins had transformed from an emotional hothead to a superstar and then fell back to a role player position. It is no secret that Boogie had a roller coaster of a career, but how good was he in reality? And what could he have been if he stayed healthy? Demarcus Cousins didn't grow up in the greatest environment. He was surrounded by drugs, guns, and violence. Although many see him as a bad boy because of his image in the NBA, he was actually a good kid in a mad world. Growing up, Demarcus avoided getting involved in any criminal activities around him. Ironically, he didn't play basketball either. As an Alabama kid, he always dreamt of becoming an NFL player. By the time he was 12 years old, he was standing 6'4", as well as lanky, skinny, and uncoordinated. Demarcus had to face the harsh reality that he sucked at football. Basketball was never on Boogie's mind, but lucky for him, he was in the right place at the right time. An AAU coach named Danny Pritchett approached him and asked him a question. He asked if he knew any 8th graders interested in joining his basketball team. Cousins, looking at the man confused, answered him, "I'm an 8th grader, sir." Pritchett thought Demarcus was a senior since he was now standing at 6'6" as an 8th grader. Demarcus soon after joined Pritchett's AAU team. Even though he wasn't the greatest basketball player, he was determined to improve. Demarcus would always want to stay after practice was finished to work one-on-one with his coach Pritchett. But if his coach wasn't available, he would stay and play with his 2 sons. By the time Cousins entered high school, he was 6'8", with the ball handling and passing skills of a point guard. Throughout his high school years, Demarcus Cousins mainly focused on basketball. By his sophomore year, he was ranked the #1 player in the country. The only thing potentially stopping him from reaching his NBA dreams was himself, because he would always let his emotions get the best of him. Cousins was very emotional, so much so that his opponents started to notice that and used it to their advantage when playing against him. Since he was a giant on the court, people knew they couldn't beat him, so they provoked him. Boogie was shoved, punched, and taunted just so they could get a reaction out of him. His teeth were knocked out 4 times during his sophomore and junior seasons. He even got into a heated altercation with a faculty member on a school bus. Despite his reactionary behavior, he was still wanted by all major colleges, and he chose Kentucky. During his time in college, Demarcus was a grown man playing against boys, now standing at 6'10", weighing nearly 300 pounds with a ridiculous wingspan of 7 feet 6 inches. He was a force to be reckoned with. Not many players could handle the combination of Cousins' size, length, and strength. Boogie was agile and skilled down in the paint, averaging 15 points on 56% shooting, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks, all in just 23 minutes per game. After Kentucky lost in the Elite Eight, Cousins opted for the 2010 NBA draft, where he was selected by the cursed Sacramento Kings. Even though Demarcus Cousins dominated in college, going into the NBA, he still had some work to do. Boogie had the size and strength to battle it out with other NBA bigs, along with being an excellent rebounder. He was also crafty in the post and around the paint. Boogie had a silky textbook spin move and a drop step that looked similar to Hakeem Olajuwon's post moves. However, during his first few years in the league, he started to become a jump shooter, which was something new for him, and he became inefficient. Other than his bad shot selection, Boogie was turnover prone and a bad defender. But his greatest issue was his emotional troublemaking. Demarcus lacked composure. He didn't have the greatest maturity and mental focus, which was visible in his body language. It was so bad that if he had a bad call made against him, he'd become so enraged that he wouldn't be able to play well the rest of the game. With all his emotional outbursts, Boogie was the league leader in technicals and ejections. Cousins was known for fighting with his coaches and beefing with media members. Many people believe the Sacramento Kings could have done more to help the hot-headed young Demarcus Cousins, but his NBA journey was largely paved by players in their 20s instead of veterans who could have helped guide him. In his first 3 seasons, Boogie averaged 16 points and 10 rebounds per game, all the while shooting 45%, but with a ton more turnovers than assists. Even though the Kings had a lottery pick, they still struggled to win 30 games, finishing at the bottom of the league. Despite his emotional outburst and the hot mess the Sacramento Kings were in, Boogie's game was improving every year. He developed a great post game and eventually became one of the league's best post scorers in the NBA. Shortly afterwards, Cousins started to extend his shooting range to the mid-range, then extended to the three-point line. His basketball IQ and court awareness had improved tremendously, making him a threat in the pick-and-roll game. This time not only as a finisher but as a passer too. During his time, Boogie had transformed defensively. He was an above-average post defender and looked better overall on defense, helping in the paint when he could. After his fourth season, Boogie averaged 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists, all career highs at the time. His shooting percentage improved to 50%, and he even put up his personal best blocks and steals. Regardless of Cousins' game improving, the Kings were still a losing franchise. All they did to help Boogie was fire coaches and make the most historically worst lottery pick in NBA history. In 2012, they selected Thomas Robinson when Damian Lillard was still available. The following year, they picked Ben McLemore when they could have drafted Giannis. In 2014, they chose Nick Stauskas over Zach LaVine. Then the following year, they drafted Willie Cauley-Stein over the likes of Devin Booker. Any great player would become frustrated if they had to deal with constant losses, different coaches, and a horrible front office, let alone Cousins. In 2015, Cousins had once again improved his numbers with 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game, which led him to making the All-Star team and All-NBA second team. The following season, Boogie was averaging a career high of 27 points per game and once again made the All-Star team. But Cousins was still a one-man show in Sacramento, and they were still a losing franchise. Finally, during an interview at the 2017 All-Star Game, Cousins learned that he had been traded to the Pelicans. After enduring 7 years, 2 owners, and 7 different coaches, the suffering was finally coming to an end for the Boogie in Sacramento. During 2017, Anthony Davis and Demarcus Cousins were the best big men in the league. Only problem was their strong suit was playing in the paint, and the rest of the roster wasn't great to say the least. During his time in New Orleans, he slimmed down tremendously, which gave him more energy to play the best defense he's played in his entire career. The same could be said about his offensive playing, but what stood out the most was his passing. He was averaging 5.4 assists per game, which was the best for any center at that time. Boogie was playing like Nikola Jokic, who we all now know about. Boogie finally had some stability, great teammates, and most importantly, he was finally winning, headed to his first playoff appearance. But unfortunately, it all went down the drain in a matter of seconds. In the final minutes of a game against the Rockets, Boogie went down, tearing his Achilles and ending his season. It would be a difficult road to recovery for Cousins. After the 2018 season, Boogie became a free agent. He signed a 1-year deal with the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors needed a center, and Boogie wanted to join a winning team. So joining the 3-time champs was a no-brainer. After 1 year recovering from his injury, Boogie eventually made it back to the court, but didn't play anywhere near the level he once played. He mostly turned the ball over and was inefficient on the court. There were still flashes of his old self from time to time, but nothing close to the monster he once was. In the beginning, he didn't look as agile as before, but he kept on his journey of recovery and started to feel like his old self. He eventually got into a rhythm, occasionally would blow by a defender, throw down a dunk, or throw out a no-look pass to one of the Splash Brothers. With Cousins being part of an already stacked team, everyone thought the Warriors were destined to win it all. Unfortunately for the Warriors, everything proceeded to go wrong with a string of injuries that started with none other than Cousins tearing his quad. KD had torn his Achilles, and shortly afterwards, Clay tore his ACL. Although Boogie tried to come back before the finals, it still wasn't enough for the Warriors to win the finals that year. The following season, Cousins signed with the Lakers but couldn't catch a break and tore his ACL, putting an end to his 2020 season. In 2021, Cousins finally returned to the court, and this time with the Houston Rockets. Only problem was, he was nothing remotely close to his old self. It was obvious that all the injuries had taken a toll on his body, and he was a huge liability on defense. He eventually got waived by the Rockets and bounced around to the Clippers and the Bucks, who waived him in the middle of the 2022 season. At the age of 31, it really seemed like Cousins' career was coming to an end. But Demarcus Cousins' previous coach with the Kings, Mike Malone, believed in him and gave him another chance, landing him with the Denver Nuggets. During Denver's playoff run in 2022, Cousins wanted to show to everyone that he still had it in him. All with limited playing time, he showed that he was more than capable on defense, and even carried the team on offense when Jokic wasn't on the court. It is unlucky that we will never see Demarcus Cousins play to his true full potential. Just at the age of 27, during the beginning of his prime years, Demarcus Cousins tore his Achilles, all while playing arguably the best basketball of his life. He suffered the worst injuries any athlete could experience, and what should have been the peak of his career was the beginning of the end. Before he got injured, Cousins averaged 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists for the entirety of his career, as well as 4 All-Star selections and 2 All-NBA selections. Due to his hot-headed reputation with the Kings, he really doesn't get talked about. He had the potential of other players in the NBA, such as Derrick Rose and Brandon Roy. Quite frankly, it's a shame, because if Cousins hadn't gotten injured, he would have easily been a top 10 player in the league. Maybe if he had been drafted by a better organization and could have remained healthy, he would have been a Hall of Famer.